Okay, I hope everybody can see the screen.
Yes, 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 sir.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So I would like to start my presentation. We have a tagline: Green Revolution in Precision Agriculture driven by technology for our company, GR Agritech. So basically, the problem is known to everybody. India has got wide cultivable land, but then we have a crop damage up to 40-50% because of pests, and timely action is not taken. So we have come out with this solution, which is a two-way solution. One is using intelligent drones, another is using smart pest traps. These are smart and intelligent mechanization processes using biotechnology also as a background. So currently all the management that is happening in pest area is manually. People are spraying all around. They use drone sprayers, but it is a mass spraying that happens. There is no absolute control over the chemical use, and there is no identification of the infestation that is done. It is done in a mass spraying without any reason, going by the season. That's what we have found. So what we have come out with is this precisely this one. It's a schematic what is being shown here. Here, some of the biochemical sensors called the MEMS devices are put onto the drone, and then drone takes a flight by recognizing the presence of the pest in the form of pheromones which are there produced by this female pest, and also by the pheromones which are released by the plants during the pest infestation. We get this data, and then it gets transmitted remotely, and then we monitor and we extrapolate it to give the data to do the spray of the right amount at the right place. And these nano sensors are patented products. So as simple as this, the pheromones are identified, then nano sensors selectively are integrated onto the drone to recognize them. Then we have a wireless data identifying level 1 to level 10 of infestations. Then we spray the right amount so that the amount of chemical used is also restricted. So totally you save on the pesticides, and you are assured of the yield that increases because of the pest management itself. And because you are using a drone for doing the spraying, the health hazards related to these are automatically contained. And solution number 2 added to this we have is smart pest traps. Here the idea is there will be 5 to 6 traps which are deployed across the farmland, and the data is collected by using a vision camera all the time, and that data is cloud based. It is transmitted and it can be accessed from the app based also. Not only farmers but even the service providers will be getting this kind of alerts. Any kind of remediation action can happen because of this, and thereby the efficiency of data that is collected is in real time. So the yield estimation, productivity, all can be effectively monitored and controlled. So for the pest traps, the chosen pest that we have is one is the bollworm, which affects many crops such as cotton, pulses, mainly cotton. Then we have fruit flies, which affects 458 varieties of fruits and vegetables, mango, papaya, etc. Then we have white grubs, all the food that is grown from the ground, potato, sugarcane, ginger, like that. Then we have the fall armyworm, mainly which is affecting maize, corn. And the smart traps, this is the schematic of how the smart traps will work. Deployed smart traps from the field will transmit the data to the cloud. From the cloud we extract it and we provide it to the service providers and the pesticide companies, seed companies, maybe insurance companies also, to get the real-time data of what is happening in the farm. So just to give you an estimate, if the intelligent drones are deployed just for cotton spraying alone, if we estimate the total area of 27.5 million acres of cotton that is grown across our country, there will be requirement of 9,000 drones to cater to this area. This is just to give you a scale of what lies ahead of us. So this is our revenue plan for the drones. This is the one for the drones. We have a revenue plan for not only the intelligent drone sales, but also on the rental models and also for retrofit kits. There will be already people who are providing drone services. We can provide this nano sensor as a kit to add on to their existing drone as well. Similarly, we have the revenue plan for the smart pest traps also identified for fruit flies and cotton, which are majorly being targeted now as one of the major crops. And we have also identified what is our TAM, SAM, and SOM. If you see, if TAM is 100% and SAM is just 10% out of this 100, identified market for us for SOM, the serviceable obtainable market, is just even if you take 0.5%. For cotton, we have a revenue stream possibility of 28 crores, for paddy 108 crores, wheat 74. These are the possibilities that we have mapped, and this is the available market for us. And we also have the roadmap, the prototyping of both these, because we are in the pre-revenue stage, we are in the prototyping stage now. Both this drone-based intelligent system as well as pest traps will be ready by December of this year. Then field trials will be completed by March 2022. Then we expand to other crops by December 2022. Then we establish our processes for purely organic farming by mid of 2023. Then we have also plans to have our own indigenously made drone. Currently, it is not, it is imported, but now we will have the plans to do it in 2024. So we are facing a lot of key challenges in these processes. One is procurement of drones, of course, with the government norms being released recently to help the drone procurement and drone usage better and easier. It is going to help us. And we are facing challenges in terms of fabricating nano sensors, because this has to be done with a high level of laboratory conditions, where we have to take help from IISc for this. And we have to conduct extensive field trials. Because of COVID, all these programs got postponed for us, but now we can do it effectively and also obtain the market feedback on the efficacy of these systems. So before this, we already have deployed our pest traps without the smartness. These are the testimonials from various customers across. All in all, about 300 odd pest traps have been deployed at various places just to get the feedback about the efficacy. Everybody has reported that the yield is better. So this is our team. My background is that I'm an engineer and entrepreneur. I have an experience of more than 25 years in electronics, mechatronics, and robotics and drone. Then scientific advisors, we have Professor Shantanu Bhattacharya, comes from ISCS Kolkata. Then we have Dr. Parikshit Moitra. He has a background of organic chemistry. Currently, he is doing his research in University of Maryland, Baltimore. And we have Dr. Deepa Bhagat from ICR NBR from Bangalore. So we already have been funded by BIRAC for the pilot program. We have been incubated at KIT TBI Bhubaneswar, and we also have been awarded RKVY project. This is for prototyping again, and we are incubated for this purpose at IIM Kashipur feed. So our asks are very specifically, we need about 2 crores for all these purposes. One is capital equipment purchase for testing and validation. This also includes procurement of drones. And we have manpower and consultancy to all the scientific advisors and institutes. Then we have a lot of consumables for developing these pest traps, which are made of organogels. Then conducting a lot of field trials and a lot of sales and marketing to be established. There comes to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much, and look forward to have your feedback.
Thank you, Raghu. I see Dr. Manik posted some questions in the chat box. Sir, would you like to?
Sir, chat box, I have 2 questions.
Yes,
but
sir.
before that, giving the introduction first is,
Yes,
do
sir.
you have any mechanism to predict the pest incidences in different crops, not only in cotton?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I will just take you through the previous slides where I think I have put up various pests. Yes. So these are the identified 4 major pests, sir. Our solution is pest oriented. Like, for example, if you look at the pink bollworm, this bollworm is one pest which is responsible to create damage for not only cotton, but also pigeon pea, chickpea, tomato, sunflower, and
No,
so
this
on
is,
and so forth.
sir,
So-
1 minute, sir, 1 minute. This is
Yes.
well understood, sir, by me. My question is very specific. What I am asking you, do you have any mechanism to forecast the pest incidence in the crops?
Yes, sir,
upon-
absolutely, absolutely. That's what I was about to say, that these
Yeah.
pests, the pest mechanism is like the females emit what is called pheromones during the
Yeah.
infestation period.
Yes.
And we will have biosensors to recognize this presence of the pheromones, by which we can extrapolate it in terms of what is the presence of the infestation.
Now, this is you do it in the field or by drones?
By using the biosensors mounted onto the drones.
Drones. Now, what is efficiency of those sensors on the drones, and at what height you identify
it-
these pheromones?
Absolutely, sir. Currently, we are doing this field trials where we are flying about 1 meter height from the crop. So
Okay.
at this place, even the pheromones are in the air. They are very volatile in nature. So we are recognizing the presence of pheromones. The efficiency currently, whatever we have measured, is up to about 80 to 87%.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Now-
we are doing in various weather conditions, various different zones to
Yes.
come out with a validation. That is why we have ICR, NBR as the one of the institutes who can give us the validation on this test results, sir.
So next question was, each pheromone from different insects is different
Yes.
chemical composition,
Yes, sir.
which will have a
Absolutely.
different order and the concentration also in the air.
Absolutely, you're
So how
absolutely
your
right.
drone sensors are capable of identifying the specific pest
It's a great
based upon
question,
the
sir.
pheromones?
It's a great question. This is when I say it is a pest-based solution, so we will also have nanosensors identified specifically for the pest. So that means if it is a nanosensor made for pink bollworm, it will always recognize the pheromones of pink bollworm only. Similarly, fruit flies, similarly, white grubs. Like it is a pest-specific nanosensor, sir. Absolutely right. So if there are more number of pests, for example, in paddy, there are at least 13 to 15 pests which attack paddy. So
Yes.
it is more complicated. That means you'll have to have 15 sensors mounted onto the drone to recognize that there is an
Yeah.
infestation.
Yes,
It's
that
very
is difficult.
complicated. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
You're
Yes, sir,
absolute.
yes.
That's why it said it's a very relevant and great question. That is the reason why we have chosen where individual crops are affected by the major pest. That is what we can do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
sir. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manik. Anybody else from the audience has any questions or suggestions for Raghu?
Yeah, I have some queries, questions.
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, congratulations for a good presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I have some queries regarding crawling insects. So is for crawling insects, do you have any solution?
Yeah, we can take for crawling insects, we can take the example of white grubs, correct?
Mhm.
And also the fall armyworm, right?
Okay.
So the white grubs and fall armyworm, also these pest traps can be devised, and we have already deployed for white grubs. We have given for ginger, ma'am. And in near Mysore, we have got a ginger plantation by one of our farmers who has successfully used, and they have been trapped. So whether it is crawling or flying, the trap only has to be modified to an extent where it is approachable by these pests. Easily they can crawl and then get into the trap. We have already successfully done it, and I can separately share these details with you for your interest.
So have you validated this technology through any government organization?
We are in that process because we are associated with ICR, NBIR for all this. So they are our validation partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many insects can be catch all put together in nano sensor technology?
No, nano sensor is different, ma'am. Nano sensor is the sensor which sits onto the drone for recognizing the pheromone. It
Yeah,
will not trap the insect. It will only recognize the presence of the pheromones
Yeah.
and the chiromones, and just indicate in an electronic form, what is the level, and accordingly we will take it into software. We will bring it into app level to indicate whether the level is level 1 or level 5 or level 10, whichever way. But for trapping, we are going for what is called as organogel or nanogel. So usually, the pheromone traps are the most popular ones. I'm sure you are very familiar with it and you will be using it. These pheromone traps are such that currently pheromone, because it is volatile, the pheromone solution itself will escape into air after it is deployed in the field. You have a lot of challenges to trap it for a long time. What we have done is we have made it into gel form, and then it remains for the entire crop season. So whether it is 6 months or 8 months of the crop season, the pheromone is effective. So it continuously will be releasing the pheromones to trap these insects.
Yeah.
That is our technology.
Yeah, as per my knowledge, pheromone is used for a specific insect.
Yes, insect specific, pest specific. You're right. You are very right.
Yeah.
You're very right, ma'am. You're very right. That is why we have chosen these pests, which are the major the pests for these specific crops. So we are not directly jumping into wheat or paddy, because these are the crops which have multiple pests affecting them, not a single pest affecting to the larger extent. So there it is very difficult to deploy a pest trap. Whereas if major contribution or major damage is occurred by one particular pest, we can always devise a trap and try to minimize the damage to a larger extent.
So just one small question, madam. Sorry. Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, this you do it at what exact stage of the insect pest attack? Because that stage is also important. Whether you do it at the earlier stage so that multiplication is stopped, or you do it at the advanced stage when they are already multiplied and grown into a very big size.
Exactly, sir. This is done at an infestation level. That means when the females are attracting the males before the infestation actually occurs. This is at a very early stage. We are trapping them.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Very early stage. Yes.
Hello, can I come in?
Sure.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hi. So all I want to actually ask you is that this is, I think, this pest infestation is a very small window. I think 2-3 days or 5 days, or maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a technical expert. So this small window, if you miss it, I think that the damage is done.
No, sir, it's not a small window. I will open up for cotton. Yeah, you see this graph, sir? Yeah. This graph shows when is the infestation starting, and this is an example, classic example of cotton. You see the cotton plant from the seed level to the harvesting level. It is about 200 days approximately. Among these 200 days, if you see, right from day 30 to day 180, you have the pest infestation. That is why all the chemicals are being sprayed right from day 30 to day 180. Near about 150 days of spraying happens for cotton. So this is the period. So it's not like 2-3 days. It is 150 days for cotton.
I just wanted to actually draw your attention to the fact that there is one friend of mine who is working with Wadhwani Institute of AI. They have actually devised a system whereby they can predict the pest infestation within that window, small window, as you was telling me. I mean, as I said, that I'm not a technical expert.
Yeah,
but
could be.
That if we miss that window, the damage is done. So what happens that through AI, it is now possible to detect in advance that this is the situation in particular crop, and in fact they have incidentally done it on cotton crop only, with a result that the productivity has gone up to 25 to 30%.
Absolutely, I am aware of that technology, sir. Basically, that technology is vision based. That means they employ a camera along with something like drone. The camera can recognize the damage only after the damage has occurred. It will not be able to predict the presence of pests which are hidden below the leaves. You cannot see the pests. You cannot see the damage that is happening from the nascent stage. Whereas in our case, our approach is not vision based. Our approach is bio based, biotechnology based. So we recognize the pheromones which are there in the air during the infestation period. So that is why it will be at the initial stage. All other technologies are at the later stage where the damage has already occurred and you can't do anything beyond that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, yes,
Yes. All the best. So one more question.
Yes,
what is the cost effectiveness of your solution?
Sir, so the drone-based solution, we are aiming to give it out at a retail price of about 6.5 lakh rupees, including the sensors specifically made for the crop. Whereas the pest traps, the smart traps, our target sale price is as low as 2,500 rupees. You actually need about 5 of them in a farmland, so you'll end up having about 12,500 rupees as the bare minimum.
These are the costs. I am asking you the question that how are you as compared to your competitors? Like why should a farmer use your technology and not others? That's my question.
This is because of the effectivity, sir. Because of the effectivity here, as I mentioned, right from the early stages of infestation, we are able to predict and thereby alert them for taking the remedial action in certain way, and we are also giving them yield benefit. So I think one of the slides I showed that, and just so there will be pesticide saving, 10 to 20% savings on the pesticide itself. And as we know, these pesticides are harmful chemicals. The lesser that is being used, the better it is for the humanity. So there will be a lot of interest from the health hazards side also. Plus, the farmers are guaranteed for 20% yield because of this technology.
All right.
Yes,
okay.
I think this question, I put it in different ways, sir.
Yes, sir.
What Dr. Rajan Jani has said.
Yes, sir.
As suppose if I am a farmer, cotton farmer with suppose 25 hectares of land, and if pest can be controlled with one spray, which will cost less as compared to your technology. What is the comparative analysis of this?
Yeah, it's a good question, sir. So in this case, we are not saying the number of sprays can be reduced. We are saying during one spray itself, the effectivity in a manual spraying, the effectivity is just 60%. That means 40% is going as waste. In our case, the effectivity will be more than 90%. And the consumption of the pesticide also will be reduced by nearly 10 to 20%. So there is a cost saving in terms of pesticide. There is a higher effectivity of the spray that is being done. And more than anything, sir, here, there will be, the byproduct of this is that we can employ many rural youth to do the drone spraying locally. By joining hands with us, they can become our drone pilots. Thereby, the manual labor that is being used or the difficulty in finding manual labor can be automatically reduced. So these are the plus points for the farmer, you as a farmer, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Manik. Anybody else, any mentors have any comments or questions?
I have some queries.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah. So, who is your direct competitor, and what is your go-to market strategy?
Yeah, it's a great question, ma'am. Our direct competitors are, I think one of the slides I mentioned. Yes. So to some extent, I would say the automated sprayers, this is the current process that is being used in large farmlands, and the smaller ones, small landholders like the small and marginal farmers use manual labor. Either they spray themselves or they are using somebody else to do the spraying. So these are our direct competitors. And when it comes to the smart traps, I don't think there is anybody who has come out with a smart trap. Everybody has a pheromone trap, but then nobody has a smart trap which can give the prediction or real-time data so far. So that way, our competition, if you want to say, they can be the existing pest trap, manufacturers or existing players in this field.
And about your go-to-market strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go-to-market will be, we have both B2B as well as B2C. B2B, B2B will be more on direct to the farmers and FPOs. I think one of the slides I have FPOs and farmers. Yes, and B2C will be, we would like to tie up with corporates, maybe people like Dr. Pandey also, the seed companies, and who are giving total solution to the food and agri producers who lease the land and give it out to farmers for producing. So this is the B2C market strategy, ma'am. So we are in the very early stage. We have to come out with our prototype successfully and make the field trials and give the validation. And then one of the challenges that we also have is in go to market strategy. We definitely need a lot of support from mentors like you in this.
Yeah, because you have two different products as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that might also differentiate.
Absolutely. Yes.
I saw Emmanuel also unmute himself in between. Emmanuel?
Yeah. So, are you producing the pheromones for the traps? Have you
Yes.
developed that technology?
These pheromones we don't produce, sir. It's a bought out item actually. But what we produce is making it in the gel form. We have the know-how of making what we call as organogels. These organogels are made by us. We buy the pheromone from outside, which is available in the commercial market, and we have a formulation to make it in the gel form.
Okay, because that requires some entomologists and lab and
absolutely. That is why we are taking help from this scientific advising team, sir. They are a team of organic chemistry, and they are experts in entomology as well.
Yeah.
So your question is very right.
Because these can be produced in very small quantities.
Yeah.
And, need to be synthesized, produced artificially. That is why.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right, sir.
Yeah. On the sensors, where are you? You said these have been developed and patented, or where exactly are you?
This is being done at. If you know about, there is a department called Sense in IISc, sir. We are getting these sensors made at IISc under the nano fabrication division. Yeah. So you can produce thousands and lakhs of these sensors.
Correct.
And then it has to be, because it is at nanometric level.
Right.
Then
so
it is
I think
functionalized.
That would be the basic product. You can sell it to other drone service providers also.
Yes, sir. One of our business strategies, I mentioned that it can be offered as a retrofit kit. Our objective is not to sell the drone. Our objective is to give this technology which goes along with the drone. So whoever has got an existing drone can also retrofit it as an add-on. Yes.
So there are multiple players doing this actually. So although you're saying that except that putting that chip over there which keeps transmitting data to the cloud.
Yes.
From the trap.
Yes.
Otherwise, I think we have invested in a company called Barrix, which is one of the leaders in this space.
Okay.
And then there are multiple drone companies which we have also financed who are into this kind of and using hyper spectral imaging also. So beyond the normal image, so they can make out much before it is visible to the naked eye, the pest. These are all possibilities. So the commercialization has been done. The problems really is that these inputs are sold on credit.
Yeah.
And typically the credit period is large. And in Barrix, it goes from 90 to 180 days.
Okay.
And there you have issues of collections and other things. So
Okay.
really, marketing is a key question. And of
Okay.
course, this drone technology, only recently the licensing was liberalized.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, every time you have to go to the local police station, get permission to fly at. all sorts of
Absolutely, sir.
flags.
Yes, you're right. You're right, sir.
All those issues are there, but there are serious players in the same space already at a commercial scale. So the issue is of you getting 2 crore to do the next levels, unless it's a research grant or something.
Yeah.
Really, I think an investor, I don't know who would be keen to kind of fund you. You need to also see who
Yeah.
is an investor who has, because
Yeah.
all these require, for example, extensive spraying. So all the farmers have to agree to be sprayed. You do it on a patch basis, it doesn't work.
Absolutely, sir.
That is why that is also an issue. So how to deal with that?
Yeah.
Most people are looking at local entrepreneurs to whom they give the drone and whatever, train them in the flying of it and all that.
Yeah.
And plus whatever, having some system of tracking and locking, because the license is given to one company who is responsible for operating the drone within the height and within licensed parameters. So that is also an issue.
Yeah. You are absolutely right. So these are the practical challenges in the field. Yeah.
So I think, there's room for many, but most of these have been explored probably independently by different people.
Yeah.
But, integrating all of them will again be a challenge for you to directly do it. You will have to look for local entrepreneurs maybe to do the.
Absolutely. You're very right, sir. So what happened was last month, specifically I got a call from the top management of Mahiko. They are one of the biggest companies in India, well established. They are giving hybrid seeds. Mahiko. They're based at Jalna near Aurangabad. So I had the opportunity to go and meet the top management, and when I made the presentation, we also took our demo drone to show them this technology. They said exactly in line with what you mentioned. They said we as individuals dealing with farmers is going to be hell lot of a task. They said we have to come together, and companies like us to form a consortium and then hire a piece of land and then deploy it in a much bigger level to promise the yield and take the share of the yield as the output, rather than we selling solution to them. No farmer will come forward to invest. So this was one of the thinkings that they offered.
Plantation crops they are accepting, coffee and such things.
Yes.
Other I think field crops, again high value field crops like mentha has been introduced. So it depends on the kind of single crop extent of coverage and all such factors. And high value crops, there it will be quickly accepted.
Yes, sir. This point is very valid, and I made a note, and we are working on these. These are practical issues. Yes, sir. We need a lot of support from people like you to have a proper go-to-market strategy.
Thank you, man. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I speak?
Sure, sir.
So I had several questions, but I think Emmanuel has very clearly discussed this, and Raghu is also very honest and admitting it, particularly the major challenges. Raghu, I was with Mahiko for 25 years.
Oh, fantastic, sir. Okay.
And for last 8 years, I'm running my own company. I can understand the requirement of small farmers, small and marginal farmers, and I can see that this technology is more a kind of aggregator, because you are doing too many things. You are bringing too many things together, and each area needs a lot of expertise. So I understand it's kind of aggregation model. So that is my input. Secondly, I think if you approach, with more precise combination of technologies to B2B model, like, suppose contract farming evolves in India, right, at
Yes,
larger
sir.
scale, like, I mean, just I'm, for example, taking example of basmati rice production in compact area or any other crop, right?
Yes, sir.
So I think, I mean, if you go through B2B model and many more solutions and solution providers will have to come together, like, crop insurance companies and, seed sellers.
Seed sellers.
So there can be some people who are ensuring the crop yield for farmers, and if crop is not good, certainly they have to pay. So they would like to assure that, crop yield is good, right?
Yeah.
So in the for those solution providers, I think this can be a part. So in B2B model, I can foresee down the line 4-5 years, you can get, bigger customers,
Yes, sir.
but
It's
for small and marginal farmers, it's still a challenge, I mean, I don't see going forward 3-4 years it is going to be resolved very soon, but
yes, sir. Yes.
going forward, and in areas or in other geographies where, large area of, some contractual farming is happening, and as I think Emmanuel rightly said, like, plantation crops.
Yeah.
So where very large area is there. So I think, I mean, in those areas your technologies can fit, but still I find it's a more a kind of, aggregation of certain technologies, and some more technology will come to you, I mean,
Yes, sir.
to make it, a complete solution. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for this feedback, sir. Yeah, I'll contact you back definitely for taking it forward, sir, in B2B
Anytime,
level.
Raghu. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. And I think we're right on time. Raghu, just high-level feedback. I think your pitch deck can be improved, and
Okay.
I've mentioned some inputs in the feedback link as well, and maybe we can, take it offline.
Sure.
And discuss further. I just had one question that the 2 crores that you're fundraising, is it for both of the products or only one product?
No, we have only for the this product, the drone based sensors.
So you're fundraising for that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I think you should also be specific about your ask.
Okay, okay.
Then your slides should be about that if you're fundraising for that.
Okay, I got it. Okay, fine.
Okay. Amanda, Kavita, just wanted to quickly check if you also have any comments, then we can move on.
Sure, my comments super quick, and it is, have you looked into the efficacy of using various organic types of pesticides into this? Now, I don't know what those would be, neem, and any kind of insecticidal soaps. And I don't know how heavy those are compared to conventional chemicals, but that could be something to look into.
That's a very great suggestion, Amanda. In fact, we have already contacted some of the bioinsecticide manufacturers here in India, but unfortunately, the efficacy levels are not as great as what chemicals are giving. So I would say, practically speaking, the biopesticide effectivity has to improve, but certainly as a remedy, it can be used when there is a product readily available along with the drones. It can certainly be used. Why not?
Just a point here. Hi, this is Sandeep.
Yes, sir.
From what I know, the biopesticides work best as preventive. Once even there is a small vestige of pests which are already there, then by and large a biopesticide doesn't work. If that is the case, then this and the biopesticide will not go together.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. There are a lot of efforts that are being put by the biopesticide companies as well to give a total solution, but there has not been so much of a success because this chemical thing is like, the pharma lobby. So, so much of chemicals is being used. So there is little scope for others to enter and a lot of challenges there as well. But we are willing to work with all these people. We have, in fact, a lot of the connections in the biopesticide area. There is a company in Pune called CanBiosis. They have done fantastic work in biopesticide. They spray the microbes to contain the pest damage. So we are working with them to find total solution to give to farmers. Let's see if we can get some better results there.
Okay, I'll look through the group of entrepreneurs we have and see if there's anyone that you could look at as well. Thanks.
Yep, thank you,
Amanda. Thanks, Raghu. You can check the feedback link in the chat box for your company, and we'll also be sharing the recording. And now I'd like to invite Gaurav from Orgrow. But Gaurav, before you start with the introduction, we have two new mentors who have joined us. I see Mr. Sandeep and Mr. Kushal. And I would just request them to quickly introduce themselves.
Hi, I am Sandeep Bhattacharya. I work with Climate Bonds Initiative. This is an organization which is working towards facilitating money capital flow at scale for environment-friendly industries, mostly into debt. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep, for joining us. Kushal?
Hi, this is Kushal. I'm working with a livestock firm. It's a startup, and I have a 10+ experience in the field of corporate strategy. And I'm also mentoring startups from IIT Bombay ecosystem.
Thank you, Kushal, for joining us. Gaurav, you can, I think, start now.
My audio is correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, very good afternoon very good evening to all. I just start sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Visible?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I start with my own introduction and then come to the product and company and all. I'm Gaurav Parmar. 2 years back, I started the Orgrow Fiber LLP startup company. Prior to that, I was working with international organizations like Oxfam GB and the European Union. And also I am Ahmedabad for taking care of their livelihood and education and health projects. 2 years back, the journey started when this Guinness Book of World Record has been recorded in India that 50 lakh trees planted in UP state. So at there 50 lakh plants. So that means that 50 lakh sapling bag been used. So that triggered in my mind that what happened to that all plastic bags. All 50 lakh bags, like 5 million bags, where it gone? Nobody had, any record of that. What happened to that? Did they put it into a soil, that put it into a river, or where it is? Nobody, nobody is aware of that. It is there or not, we don't know. So that triggered me to, come up with a solution of a sapling bag, which is widely used in, everywhere worldwide to plant a tree. So from there, the journey started for this Orgrow. We have innovated the sapling bag, which is air permeable, moisture retention, regain and transmission, and it's also a biodegradable and soil enrichment. So the raw material which we are using is all natural, and which is enriching the plants and germinating faster the seeds. And compared to the plastic, it's obviously like whenever when we plant any tree to the mainland, we either tear it and throw it that bag, or either it is collected back and it is no use. So what the generally farmer and what is the practice is happening, they put it into a thresher, they put it in, they make it a small piece of that and they put underground the soil. So that is what the practice is. So this is what the solution we come up. As we know, whenever the plastic goes in the nature, it spoils our water, air, and all oceans and many other, the disadvantages of the plastic, and the sapling bags is widely used. So the advantage of Orgro bag is that it is good for the human, soil and water. It is improve the fertility of the soil because it is having a major portion of the sapling bag is at the wool. It is not required to remove the bag. You can, put it the plant along with the bags in the ground. It improves the germination of the seeds by 30%. And this we did a trial with the National Institute of Natural Fibers and Engineering and Technologies, Kolkata, and that test result they have given us. And this is what on the basis of that, the 30% the germinations goes faster than the plastic one. So what exactly the process and the technology we are using? We are procuring the Indian waste wool, which is as per their technical characteristics, it is not good to make a proper fabric as it is made the merino of Australian wool. So Indian wool is considered as one of the waste products. So it is not used in a fabric manufacturing. So it is considered as waste, and the farmers are not getting good returns out of that. So we are using the cotton, then we are using the jute also, and we are using the waste wool also. And we are using the non-woven technology, and we put together and blend it all the fibers together and make a fabric. And there are two components. So one component is the manufacturing of the fabric, and another component is the manufacturing of the bags out of this fabric. These are some of the test results which we have got from National Institute of Natural Fertilizer, Kolkata. So you can see that Orgro bags giving the results of how better than the controlled one, the plastic one. So these are the results we can discuss in the question and answer, that how they have done this all test trials. Our current situation, we have since we are a startup, so didn't have a money. As usual with all the startups, the challenge is the money and the fund. So what we have done is we hired an industry partner for manufacturing of the fabric, which is a very capital intensive job. So we are having an MOU with one of the industry partner, and another one is the manufacturing of the bags out of this fabric. So we have also hired a industry partner to help us to manufacture the bags in a different shape and size. What investment we are looking forward? If you are getting the 5 crore, it will be the entire channel of manufacturing of the fabric as well as the manufacturing of the bags. We can do it in-house and control the cost of the final good. Raw material and inventory support and the marketing and sales support. So this is the additional support within the 5 crore we are expecting. So in-house everything will be done. These are some of our milestones which we have achieved in the past 2 years. So we are mentored by the Center for Ship and Wool Research Institute, Avika Nagar. Our field trial and the testing support has been helped by the NIFAT. Manage has recently selected us in a RKVY Raftar. Our results are awaited, but we have submitted all the credentials, whatever they have requested us. One of the directors is also the female, so we have got the training support from her startup, UNICEF and Gujarat Startup Cell. IIT Delhi supported us and funded us to showcase our product in Plastovision. We have already filed the patent with support from Indian Council for Agriculture Research. They have supported the financial part and technical part to prepare the patent and submit it. So these are some of the milestones. As per our research, the ground level research, what we have found is that how much the nursery bags are used. So some of the field trial is under the trial with Forest Department, Government of Gujarat. We have given some bags to them and they are doing the field trial. Every year, the Government of Gujarat is buying 12 billion bags. Kerala Forest Department, we are in a discussion with them to trial our bags also. 7 billion bags are there. Rajasthan 8 billion, Maharashtra Forest Department 18 million. So these are some of the state government which are buying the sapling bags. Similarly, in the private sector, the B2B market, where the Star Nursery is recognized by the Horticulture Board of India. So in Gujarat, we have identified and in discussion with the Star Nurseries, 10 billion bags they are buying annually. And tissue culture laboratories, 12 billion. So these are what the market size is. Currently, our business channel from where the revenue is, we are in the process, we are approaching, we are meeting people. So mostly it is coming from the various channels like, and the current client we are having is the Mumbai Green Mission, Jain Plastic, Ikal Biotechnology, Patel Laminates. So one of the industry, since our fabric is, having a good value as per, our discussion with this company, we come to know that in the fabric can also be having a multiple use. It is having a very good fire resistance. It is a thermal value is very good. The heat transparent is transporting the heat from one part to other part is, very good. So looking at that, we have also got an order for the fabric to utilize in another matter, other the product. So these are the various, the orders which we have got. In 2019-20, our sales was 25,000. 2021, we are right now at 6,81,000. 5 customer to 82 customers, journey is there. So this is what the short, where we stand right now. This is the team where we are all together working. So technically, Dr. D.B. Sakyavar and Dr. Vinod Kadam, who are the main mentor to us, who are supporting technically how the fabric should be, what ingredients and how to prepare different versions of the fabric. So this is what the team, Dr. Adhar Mandot is again a technical member who is supporting us. Manoj and I myself take care of the production and the sales, and Jaimini, another director, is taking care of the admin things, and Webvi is again taking care of the accounting parts. So as you see that, recently I visited one of the organization, the small nursery. They have put up all their unused plastic bags near the one roadside. So think before, when you are buying a plant, you are also buying one plastic bag along with that. And obviously either you are throwing it away or it is going to be discarded and it will be there for 5,000 years to be, dissolved in the nature. So this is what the journey of the startup or group. One of the big challenge which we are having right now is that, the dry states, which is like Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. So there the life of the bag is required, 14 months, and our bag life is coming to 88 months to 10 months. So that is the challenge, but our bag can easily be, utilized by the states where the humidity is high. So Northeast and the extreme northern area can, easily consume our bags. We are looking at opportunities to, towards sales, but we are extreme in a Western India. So approaching that all market is a challenge. So this is what the journey of the OR group. Thanks. If there is questions, I'm here.
Thanks, Gaurav. I would like to open the floor for questions.
Gaurav,
Yes,
I have 2 questions. One, your innovation is really good, first of all. I think this is the need of the hour. And actually you use these waste materials like waste wool. I know about waste wool because I have worked with Namda growers, Namda people in Tonk. I think you visited Avika Nagar, no?
Yes, sir.
Avika Nagar. So
Yes,
do you know about this Namda cluster nearby where they are using?
Not exactly I've been visited, but from where we are buying then procuring this waste wool. So we know that they are putting this all waste wool there. But again, it's a challenge to put Indian wool there. So that's
right. No, this is all Indian wool. Namda is a process which is using the waste wool, short fiber waste wool, and they're making bags out of it. They're making a lot of these decorative items also and all that. Anyway, that apart, I want to ask you about the cost of the bags as compared to the plastic or the conventional bags.
Right. Sir, as per new resolution which government has passed that all the bags should be above 50 micron. Right now, what happening is, all the farmers, wherever the star nurseries and all we have met, and even we met the tissue culture laboratory, what they are doing is they're literally buying illegally the less micron bags to control the cost. So that is the one challenge. And our bags, if it is 50 micron exactly, and our bag is 150 GSM, we are 33% higher than the existing price of the plastic bag.
So do you think that this is a barrier, or you are able to overcome this barrier?
Sir, very soon, if government very strictly work on this 50 micron, we think that we can compete easily with that.
You can compete easily. Yes. All right. Yeah.
Another challenge is, sir, our dependability on, industry partners, like 2 industry partner, their, the costs
Right.
and all, their own margins and all, because that cost is, there. So because of that, we are 33%. If the in-house everything is there, I think that, that 33% will be our own margins instead of, we are giving that all outsource funding to these 2 partners.
All right. Yes. So I can see that you have also got this patent awarded. Is it been awarded or is it?
Sir, it is a provisional patent. The final product and the fabric patent has been applied. So it is provisional.
Fabric patent. Okay. So this is a manufacturing patent. I mean.
Yes, sir. Manufacturing.
It's a manufacturing patent. Okay. So I think I'm fine with these questions. The only thing is that I want to see your revenue chart. Like, I mean, you're not given any projections of the sale and all of that, GTM maybe, for example, your GTM along with that revenue model.
Okay, sir.
These are the 2 things that I want to see, that what is your strategy to go to market, and secondly, what are your projections for the next 2-3 years?
Right, sir.
Okay, so these are the things, and then you should also present a competitive chart. The thing is that for whatever is available in the market, it could be something else. I don't know. I mean, there are rugs available in the market. Okay, rugs, which are like, recycled rugs. So you can try that rug bag also. It is very cheap. I mean, there are these, you call it in Hindi, you call it chindi. Do you know? Chindi.
Yes. Yes.
So these chindis are very, very inexpensive things, they come by weight. So they may reduce your cost. So I don't know. I mean, you should actually constantly try to innovate the product by making use of the, textile waste of different kinds. And I think that chindi thing, because they are using, I know about the cluster in near Agra, they are using these chindis and they are actually doing the whole recycling of chindis and making rugs out of it. And it is very inexpensive and very, very good. It is an export item. So you can actually try that, some other materials.
Okay. So we'll do that, definitely. But the challenge of the, keeping the life of this, even we tried the jute and we tried the other fibers also. And what life is coming is, very short. So when it is coming to a contact of sun, soil and water, so dissolving very fast compared to the solution which we came up. So that is very important because we have to at least sustain it for the 6 months and more than that. So that only, when it is transported the plants, the bag is there and it is, put along with the plant is along with, the bag is put into the main soil or mainland. So that life is very important.
All right. Okay. All the best. Yeah. Good.
Yes, I have one small question, sir.
Yes, sir.
This waste wool, what you are using for preparing the bags, how long it takes for biodegradation?
Sir, as per our what we have done is, into this technology which we are using right now, we are using different version of the thickness of this fabric. So it is from 150 to 250 and more than that also. So more the life we required, we are increasing the thickness of the bag and thickness of the fabric. So that is what the, creating the life. And the highest life which came into the 250 GSM is 8 months to 10 months.
No, point is, if the wool waste is not biodegradable, then it doesn't have any advantage over the plastic bags.
So wool waste is biodegradable, it biodegrades.
How long it takes? That's what my question is, how long it takes for biodegradation?
Sir, it takes 8 months to 10 months.
Okay.
When it comes in a contact with sun, soil and water.
Okay. Thank you.
Gaurav, so what is your business model?
Sir, mainly the business model is, approaching this all different areas. Basically, B2B is our all star nurseries, which is recognized by the Horticulture Board, and which is also the second is the tissue culture laboratories, which are using these bags in a large scale. So we are giving our calls to them and we are selling to them. Then another is a B2G is a big market. We are also registered on a JAM. Our product is about to get into an approval stage. We submitted all technical specification and our mentor, which is this CSWRI ICAR, We are also getting an opportunity to meet the highest dignitary of Director General of Animal Science, Director General of Indian Council for Agriculture Research, and Textile Minister. So these are the three main departments which will be integrating our product into the government procurement. So we are having an opportunity next month to meet them and present our product. So possibly that will open up some windows. Apart from that, we are mainly concentrating on the bulk buyers. So the star nurseries and tissue culture laboratories on a private side, which is on a B2B, and the government. These are the two main channels which are procuring bags on a large scale. Apart from these small nurseries, it is very difficult because they are completely buying. We tried that. They are on a large volume, but what they are doing is they all are buying on a less than a 50 micron plastic bag because to control the cost, and they are happy with that.
So how do you approach them? Is it completely offline, or do you use online channels as well?
We are physically meeting them. We are submitting our samples. We are giving them all our collaterals and putting them into our, they are doing the trials also. Like just give you a case of the Gujarat Forest Department, our product is under trial into their nursery. So once that entire cycle and they report back to their department, they said that they will, once at least it passed the 6 months of a life, because they're out of 12 crore, their 20% is the bags which they buy a shorter life. So similarly with other ministry also the same case, the shorter life of the 6 months they are buying in a bulk. So once one state is going to do that, the other state definitely take a case and will approach in a way that they will recommend us to the other ministries and other states also.
So one of the challenges which I foresee is that you are highly dependent on government, and second thing is it's only one product and maybe one industry right now. But I think the technology can be used in another industries, other industries where where we require such biodegradable products, maybe bags or something, a bigger bag, and it is highly dependent on government. So which I think is a major challenge in India. You do understand that, right?
Right.
So what are your risk mitigation strategies to to reduce the dependencies?
Yeah, we know that there is a dependency specifically for a sapling bag. These are the two dependency. But to overcome that, we are also pitching our fabric to different technical manufacturers of the laminating industry. That is the one. We are also looking for like making the consumable bag out of this fabric. So that is the another segment. Then we are also having an opportunity to send our product to other market, because in other European countries and all, the demands for such kind of material is high. So we are also looking at that. Most important is that we getting the orders. We are also like getting a good orders from India itself, from nurseries and those who are in the CSR business. Because it also giving a life cycle of the product where they have to integrate some good material into their entire overall life cycle of the product. So we are getting an orders, but completing that order also again is a challenge because the dependability of the industries. So of course that are the second area. Apart from this, what we are doing is we are not stopping ourselves only for the sapling bag, but consumable bag and the packaging material. Apart from that, our material can also be used in a natural carpet. So all events right now the situation is bad, but we got some orders also for the natural carpets to be used in the events. So we approached the many event management agencies and the government department to integrate our product, and asking the private organizers to procure this natural carpets because they are using and they are throwing it out, or either it is reused by someone and then again it is throwing it out. So all the event carpets which we are using are used once or twice and then it is discarded. So that is another area. But right now the situation of the less events and this gatherings are less, so we are not touching that segment.
And one more question, like what are your margins? Because you are already partnering with 2 or 3 different parties. So are you profitable, or or what kind of margins do you?
We have put up on a 22 to 25% margin for the final good, and of course it is getting higher than the plastic one. The cost is getting higher than the plastic one, but since the plastic one is coming with an 18% of taxation bracket, and we are into a 5% of taxation bracket, so that is some savings are there. Apart from that, those who are looking at the larger picture of the production and all, because it's improving the health and survival rate of the final the trees and plants, so it is good. So they are invested, they are paying, they are happy to pay the cost, but that segment is not too much. It's right now it is small, but possibly that will once our calls and all and the marketing team is in a place, sales team is in a place, so we'll be approach the good customers, specifically the CSR, those who are buying the bags in a large scale, and they all are buying from vendors. They are not having their own nurseries, and these all vendors are for cost cutting, they are using the plastic one. So once the CSR agencies can put up that the bag should be used as a biodegradable bag, not the plastic one, definitely that change will come.
So I worked with one startup, they came up with this bamboo toothbrush. It's like a unique idea, sustainable kind of thing. And they, they targeted individuals and it was purely online. So that worked for them. So, so that's the suggestion from my side. Maybe you can try approaching individuals online in addition to, approaching government and other agencies as well.
Sure.
Kushal, can you paste the link maybe of the company in the chat box?
Yeah, sure. I will, just check and then.
Sure. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience has any questions or suggestions for Gaurav?
I think that the go-to-market would be amazing. So add some of those in there. I looked you up on LinkedIn and I actually saw that you're already friends with a friend of ours in Africa, Sia Sokomani. How did you meet him?
On Almighty network, and they see some of our product and they were found it good, so they approached us and then our convocation started.
Oh, cool. Did you reach out to them or did they find you? That's so cool.
Yeah, that's really an interesting thing from Almighty. Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys saw that on Mighty Networks. That's really amazing. And, further than that, I would think if you have some collaterals or if you can put even your website in the chat box right now for anyone to check, that would be useful. But I'm thinking of a few potential partners that it would be really fun to set you up with a call for. One of them, Ashna met with me, growtrees.com, India. They are doing probably 3 million trees a year, but they have a lot of bags. And they might be interested in making this a part of their value chain. And we have a partnership also with an organization called One Tree Planted. They do a lot of fundraising around planting trees, basically from anyone like you or me could sign up to do a monthly donation, but they also are working with a lot of corporates. But anyway, they have partnerships with nurseries and tree planting organizations around the world. So I'm going to see how we can get you to have a chat with them, but update your deck a little bit first and think about, making a deck. Maybe you have a separate deck for your sales people. But either way, they're such great partners. They could see this deck as well, because they're actually partnering with us on a big project we're doing in Africa right now. So I have 2 potential partners for you. So that's just what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you for the support.
I also, we know this tissue culture company based out of the Northeast. So, and as I think you also mentioned that you're facing trouble in approaching the Northeast market.
Yes.
So I will talk to them as well and, maybe find potential synergies.
Definitely. It would be great help.
And I agree with Amanda, you need to update your slides. And, I think most important would be, to showcase how will your business be viable and, what plans do you have for the future to, grow? Like, what are your next steps? and should also refer to the framework that Looney took a session on. Like, that's on Mighty Networks. So definitely refer to that.
Sure.
Yeah, we've seen miracles happen when people follow that, honestly. Miracles.
Agreed. Amanda, I would like to say here that I went through individually what Looney has mentioned. It's really great. And I could change my slides by more than 80-85%. I'm still 15% off, but I think I will moderate it. A lot of things are to be learned from Looney. The way he has individually slide by slide explained. If we adopt it, I think our presentation will be wonderful. During my presentation, I observed that although I covered a lot of things, probably did not get into the minds of many of the mentors, probably. So I have to moderate a bit. I have to make sure that it is understood well during the presentation itself by the mentors or the investors who are attending to this presentation. So yeah, Looney has been great. Looney model is good.
Awesome. Thanks, Raghu.
Yeah.
Gaurav, Haripriya had a question that she posted in the chat. She asks if you can use your bags in packaging food items like mushrooms, bamboo shoots.
Mushrooms can be packed, but I'm not sure about the bamboo shoots. We are doing a small research with the Himachal-based Mushroom Research Institute, how our material can be useful into the mushroom growing, because since it is also one of the fungal, and we have to see that how fast it's grow. So our institute is helping us out to reach out to this the another institute, and they will share our fabric and see the benefits and all that. So if it goes well, we'll see that if we can pack it or not. Since it's an air permeability, so what we have noticed that all the foods, like basically not the food but the fruits like apple and any this oranges and all that, if it is packed in our fabric, we are sure that the life of that the fruit from transportation to one location to other location, which is happening right now in the plastic boxes or plastic plates or small plastic containers. So that can be improvised, what we call it, the the fruits get very fast mature, yeah. So that life can be longer than compared to this plastic one, because there is an air permeability and it is giving the natural cushioning to the fruit. So that life can be increased. So the maturity life can be increased, so that during the transportation to one location to other location, that can be done. But again, it's another area to do all R&D and putting our material into this. We already did in-house, but we don't have that the systematic testing of that. So that support or something is required from some agency which can put it our fabric and put it the fruits, the raw fruits, and see that how long life it is, and then how it is good for the fruit packaging. We in-house did, and we found that it is increasing the maturity life.
Okay, that's interesting. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, Ashna.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
Sure. So what about any patent, taken for this product?
Sir, Indian Council for Agriculture Research supported us for the patent, and we already filed the manufacturing patent for this product.
Manufacturing patent?
Not designing about... and the manufacturing, fabric and the bag, both we have filed.
Okay. About material, fabrics and material, you have already submitted, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see a lot of innovation in this, because many similar kind of, several people are working around material which is biodegradable, and I think you need to review why, I mean, any investor should come, or why any scientific or innovation based, this investors should be attracted, right? So because I feel this is a very clear and very on a business model, right? It has, I mean, as much as volume you can create, it can be like fabrics can be anything, but if you can create some innovative packaging material, or maybe container or something like this, container for plants or tissue culture material, so I mean, which is going to field, and there is a biodegradation after some time, so there is no plastic residue in the environment. We have come, last 3-4 years, many innovators who are coming up with, some really some very innovative models which we never thought. So I want some clarity on this about the material you are using, and whether you are the first person to use this one, and how you are expecting your patents to be granted for this, right? So this is some of my queries.
So response to this, we are working with an institute in India, which is only one of the institute which is into doing the R&D on the wool, and which is Center for Wool and Ship and Wool Research Institute, Avika Nagar, Jaipur. So this is the only one institute which is working on the wool sector. And as per their technical specifications and their guidance and their mentorship, we are almost using the 60% of the Indian wool, and we found that up till date they themselves were not on a idea of getting the sapling bag out of the Indian wool. So that is the one response to your question, that it is what kind of an innovation it is. So of course it is, the bags and the fabrics are used widely, but converting the non-woven technology and converting the fabric out of this fibers is one of the kind of itself, and it is well recognized by this institute and well accepted by also the ICAR, where our research paper is under preparation. Very soon it will come out and show the all detailed results and scientific details of the product which we come up. So that is the one. Second is, sir, the market size of this product which we have innovated, this is in a high volume. So attracting and the cost point of view, when we are not weaving or we are not spinning the fibers, obviously our cost goes very down. Of course, at this point of time, our dependability on the industry partner is high because of the capital intensive machines are required to make the fabric. So obviously that is the one area, one of the challenge which we are having right now. But obviously we have the substitute like industry partner. So the cost is high because of that reasons. Second is, we are not only restricting ourselves for the sapling bag. We are using this fabric for if we compare the same fabric with the woven technology, it is 100 times the cheaper than that woven technology. So that cost factor will also help us once this fabric is accepted in the industrial sector, specifically into the laminated industry, or the people we met some of the client on that area also, where they are looking for some technical fabric kind of a thing which can help them to reduce the temperature of the container, which is shipping the lot of drugs and pharmaceutical material from India to other country. As you know that India is 70% exporter of the pharmaceutical products. So this all goes in a one container, it's all go in a different containers, and that all containers required to reduce the temperature. So they're looking for this technical fabric, and we did in a test trial, and they given us a small order also. So we are not restricting ourselves But since, we are always, as a startup are asked to focus on one core product which can give you a good return. So obviously we are doing that, but we are, deviating sometimes whenever we are getting opportunity to encash it from the market. If the technical fabric is requiring, the same fabric which is, made for a sapling bag can also be a part of the lamination industry. So we are also looking whenever the opportunity comes, we selling that also. So of course, your the question, like the query regarding the similar many other substitutes. Sir, we met the Director General of the Indian Council for Forest Research and Education in Dehradun. As per their, the silviculture head, they said that right now we are not having a very good substitute which can fulfill the the demand compared to the plastic bags. So that's why we are not very strongly advocating with the government that they put the sapling bag also into this 50 into this single-use plastic. Since it is also single-use plastic, we use it and we throw it. We are not using it second time. It's a single-use plastic, but they are not did because the substitute is not available. So these are some of the like learnings from our journey with different meeting with different stakeholders. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. Any other questions, or Gaurav or Raghu, if you have any questions for us?
No, nothing from my side.
Yeah, I have. I
Sure,
have
go
a
ahead.
suggestion to Gaurav and Raghu.
Yeah.
Please add one customer story in your slide, so it will be get benefited to understand the clarity of your products and convince to your customers that otherwise everything is excellent.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Manaz. Thank you. Amanda, would you have any? Oh, so you're sorry. I guess you've already provided your comments to Gaurav. Okay. So I would just like to thank everybody for taking out your time and supporting our entrepreneurs. And Gaurav, you should check out the feedback form in the chat box. The link is in the chat box, and we'll also be sharing the link to the recording soon. Thank you so much. And now I would like to pass it on to Amanda for her closing remarks.
Oh, really? Just I really hope that we were able to, share some insights. People can take the notes, go back and think about the communication aspect, and also that you got some ideas that you can go forward with. And we will be doing pitch practice sessions in October, so we'll be sending out those calendar invites soon. And that will give you an opportunity to pitch 3 different weeks in a row ahead of our virtual Impact Day. And we're inviting as many mentors to join us on each of those days as possible. We already have at least 9 mentors signed up for each one, but we hope to have more. So because the more the merrier, because everybody can join to pitch, and we're going to split up into small rooms so that people can pitch, maybe if we're lucky, even 2 or 3 times during one of those sessions. So it'll be an opportunity to provide feedback and to get to know what other people in the cohort are doing. So we really look forward to that in October, that next step. But in between now and then, everyone can work on their decks. And additionally, if there's somebody here you wanted to follow up with, feel free to do so. Again, you can find their emails in the calendar invitation. Just be pretty specific about what you're looking for, and perhaps share a few time frames that you would be available. And you might even attach your deck or a link to your deck in that email. So really appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Amanda.
Amanda.
Thank you, everyone.
Ashna, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.